Jojo Siwa is back with another rebrand. From child reality TV star to kids pop star sensation to inventor, CEO, CMO of GayPop to now lesbian trader. Is there anything that Jojo can do? But according to a Daily Mail interview, she was actually pressured into coming out as a lesbian by the LGBTQ community. Yup. She really went there. So I decided to look into things because it is getting unnecessarily messy, and once again, we can blame capitalism. From the very first day on Dance Moms, Jojo Siwa was clearly made for a reality TV show. She had a very loud personality, very obnoxious. She was constantly grabbing screen time.
I am pretty good in rehearsal, and I'm like fabulous on stage. All of the moms love hating on me, but I made it to the top 5. I feel like I'm the best dancer here, and I think it's time everyone else here realizes it.
Abby Lee Miller herself told her mom, Jessalyn Siwa, that she was raising her daughter to believe she was it. To which Jessalyn says, "You know that my kid is the most commercially viable option in the entire dance group."
I hate the way that Abby is treating Jojo, but I know this is a great opportunity for Jojo, and I want her to be on the team, and I want her to go back to Pittsburgh with Abby.
Very important words, because I think that from the day that Jessalyn pushed her daughter out the womb, she has been building an image, a persona, a marketable daughter to the masses to become rich. She enrolled her daughter in dance lessons at the age of 2, which sounds psychotic if you're a normal human being. She's 2. And after her stint in Dance Moms, Jojo Siwa went through her first big rebrand. From child reality TV star to kids pop sensation. At this point, she got an agent called Karen Sterling, who was very known for doing very specific brand images.
I was going to make all of her wishes come true and beyond. I said, I'm going to build you to be a human brand.
Hey everyone, it's Jojo. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, you guys!
She used bows as a sort of a trademark of Jojo Siwa alongside her very tight ponytail, and she slapped this little girl's image on any product you could think of. The merch was insane coming out of Jojo Siwa, and I'm guessing that's how she made a lot of her money initially. She really branded herself as this very flashy, colored jumping bean that danced on stage and sang to kids. And she started touring the world, and apparently it was a global sensation that kept her on people's mouths for years. Mainly kids. That was the demographic that she was being marketed to. Problem is, at this point, Jojo is going through adolescence. She's becoming a teenager, wanting to do teenage stuff. And then at the age of 17, after speculation, I guess, I don't really know if people were speculating on her sexuality or not, but she came out as a lesbian at the age of 17. The community embraced her, and once again, she was in the headlines. And for the years after, she kind of tones down her image just a little bit. She ditches the really tight ponytail and all of the bows and adopts a more visibly queer image. She gets a haircut, she starts dressing a little bit more butch, but still sparkly enough that you know it's Jojo Siwa. And interestingly, when she came out in January 2021, she came out as a part of the LGBTQ plus community. Then in February 2021, she said that she initially identified as pansexual and that she didn't want to label herself completely. And then later in 2021, she clarified that she's not attracted to men and that she identifies as a lesbian. And now, as we know from her Daily Mail interview, she no longer identifies as a lesbian and has in fact been pressured by the LGBTQ community to come out as a lesbian. This is where shit really hits the fan, because if we look at her career from 2021 until now, she's gone through a tumultuous journey, artistically speaking, if we can call it that. After she came out as a lesbian, she toned down her image, and then in 2024 came the rebrands to end all rebrands. The big messy Jojo Siwa rebrand that everyone was talking about. No one could keep their grimy little hands away from this public phenomenon because it was really fucking funny.
Honestly, I wanted to make art that made people go, what? Similar to Miley Cyrus' Bangers, Britney Spears' Slave for You. That for me was very important that I brought back crazy.
Labels herself as the inventor of GayPop and says that she wants to make it more mainstream. She really wants to revive the genre that never died because it never stopped existing.
The genre is, I said it back in the day when I first signed with Columbia, I said I want to start a new genre of music. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, it's called GayPop. And they were like, what's that? And I was like, it's like K-pop, right? But it's GayPop.
And as I always say, whenever an artist goes through a major rebrand or career pivot, you just know that there's about to be some serious allegations come up against them. And that's what happened to Jojo Siwa. So around the time that she was making this huge rebrand that no other person from her generation has done, she was trying to attach herself to other artists, such as, for example, Miley Cyrus. But when Miley Cyrus did it, it felt organic, whereas Jojo felt very manufactured because Jojo couldn't stop going on about it. She couldn't stop saying that this was the biggest shift that we've ever seen from an artist, that she was the first in the generation. It was very obviously JoJo branded because much like everything she's done before in her career, it's very in your face. She needs to tell you exactly what she's doing so you know that it's very intentional and it's very gay focused. Now, I think this is her mom's fault and her team's fault, the same team that has been responsible for turning her again into a marketable product, saw that the gay community loves their divas and their pop artists, and seeing that JoJo was in the queer community, they thought, hey, this is a big branding opportunity, right? She's no longer a child. We've been kind of toying with the idea of her becoming a more adult star, and so we're really gonna hone in on making her this like gay icon because the gays are gonna love her and the queers are all gonna pay for tickets to watch her. The community is really gonna support her, so let's pander to them to the point that they'll hate us. Because this is the thing, when you try to brand yourself as a queer icon, don't. Never brand yourself as a queer icon. They will tell you if you are a gay icon or not. If you have to call yourself that, then that you are not. And I think this is where maybe they underestimated what it takes to market someone as a gay icon, as a pop star, because the image that JoJo presented, albeit different, was kind of the same. Like, first she used a lot of colors, a lot of sparkly outfits really aimed at children. And now she was wearing the same kind of outfits, but black and white, and calling them an adult version, a new era of JoJo. And I honestly can't think of anyone that I know that has taken this rebrand seriously. Maybe kids did, but I don't know and don't want to know any kids. So who knows? Maybe it was successful to some extent. The problem is that JoJo then started acting very much like an adult in her shows.
I'll come back like a boomerang. Tell the haters to lick my nuts.
It's quite jarring for someone to go from boomerang, I'm a child star, to tell the haters to lick my nuts. And this wasn't the only instance that she did cringy things on stage. Unfortunately, it pains me to say, I understand what she was going for with this rebrand. I understand what she was going for with these wild statements made on stage. I understand what she was trying to do. But when you try to do it this much, it's gonna backfire. And it did backfire. It backfired so much, and then people couldn't stop talking about the fact that she took credit for writing a song that turns out she didn't write. She bought it from someone that recorded it 10 years ago. It became a very messy pop journey because she was trying to categorize herself in the same field as other genuine icon artists that came before her.
What's going on here? You know, the amount of references that people have told me I look like in this video that I have no clue what they are is sickening.
So this rebrand brought a bit of a cognitive dissonance between what she was presenting on stage versus what people knew of her. The music video Karma's a Bitch made headlines once again.
I was a bad girl.
You know what? No one has caused as much conversation in the media with just one song as Jojo Siwa, so we gotta give credit to her team and her mom, whoever they are, wherever they are, however much evil they've done in the world. One thing they did right, they kept this girl in everybody's mouths. For the wrong reasons, but she never left there. Jojo was right. No one in her generation had done this much of a 180 on their public image, and for good reason. It comes off as disingenuous and exploitative and just manufactured. You know, there's no real artistry going on behind the scenes. There's not much artistic merit when you copy paste other people and call yourself a pioneer of a movement that has never stopped existing, because it's not really a movement, it's just a genre that people like. But her team was hell-bent on marketing her as the CEO of GayPop like they marketed her as the CEO of Bows and Kids and Annoying Kid Songs. GayPop era, flop era, you decide. And then the rebrand to end all rebrands. Jojo goes straight into the Celebrity Big Brother UK house. Celebrity Big Brother UK, where careers go to die or D-list celebrities go to revive their own relevance. And when Jojo Siwa was announced in it, I thought, okay, here we go. More weeks and weeks of Jojo being nothing but a headline talking point for everybody on the internet. And I was right. So Jojo goes into the Celebrity Big Brother house and starts heavily flirting with Chris Hughes, an ex-Love Island UK reality star. At the same time, she had a partner on the outside world. Everyone keeps calling her partner girlfriend, but this is a non-binary individual. And during her stay in the house, Jojo Siwa has several conversations with several people, namely one where she tells Danny Beard that being in this house has made her realize that she's not a lesbian, that she is queer. And then her and Chris Hughes' flirtation relationship became more and more flirtatious as time went by. People couldn't get enough of the videos of Jojo Siwa cheating on her partner on live television, or Jojo Siwa is a traitor, or Jojo Siwa turning her back on the gay community. Then she breaks up with her partner at the Celebrity Big Brother finale, and weeks later, after much speculation and constant media scrutiny, Jojo and Chris Hughes officially announced their relationship. Their romantic relationship. They're no longer platonic friends, they are officially in a relationship. And they do this at the beginning of Pride Month. Now, the queer community was up in flames. This is when you see a lot of dumb people forgetting that the LGBTQ community is not just for gays and lesbians. There's a lot of other identities and ways of expression that belong in the community. And for all intents and purposes, Jojo Siwa has had girlfriends. So, like, she is at least attracted to women. Doesn't mean that she can't be attracted to men, and this is where, you know, boxing ourselves into a certain category early on before we really understand who we are can cause problems, because Jojo is now saying that she felt pressured by the LGBTQ community to come out as a lesbian. Jojo said, "In a weird way, I think the pressure came a little bit from inside the LGBTQ community at times, from people I know, from partners I've had. You just get put in this world where you feel like because you now have said, oh, I'm a lesbian, you have to be a lesbian. And the truth is, sexuality is fluid." I hate this. I hate this so much. Because, first of all, we need to put this into context. This is Jojo Siwa, right? Jojo Siwa is known for marketing herself as whatever sells. This is a person who's been manufactured as a product since a very early age. I don't think she's ever had time to even think about who she is. And I don't think for a second that at the age of 17, if she had told friends and family I'm pansexual in a normal reality with accepting, loving people around her, that anyone would have told her, hey, you need to come out as a lesbian. No. Not to say that she faked being a lesbian. I think that she may have been pressured to become a lesbian publicly. But I think it's very dangerous to say that it came from the queer community, because now you're just giving right-wing media the tools to further villainize the queer community and call us what they always do, a bunch of groomers trying to turn kids. And that's such a dangerous narrative to build off of so many years of profiting off of things that you don't necessarily embody, profiting off of fake images that you put out there, and now you're blaming the queer community instead of looking inwardly and being like, maybe it's my mom.
You know, in your marketing dance mind, JoJo is the most commercial kid here.
And it makes it even worse that these statements are coming out of a Daily Mail interview. Like the scummiest of scummy newspapers in the UK that you could ever go to. And you go to the Daily Mail UK, known for their many, many problematic articles against marginalized communities and anything that causes a little bit of a conversation. They are there. They are stirring the pot, and they are making asinine statements and taking really ridiculous positions and harassing people. and you go to the Daily Mail to give them an exclusive on how the gays turned you into a lesbian. That is crazy talk. I think that a part of her is feeling very defensive that, you know, the queers didn't embrace her sudden pivot as much as she probably thought. Obviously, she's still very cringe, and people are still gonna make fun of you because you are kind of silly and it's funny, and we make light fun of things and then we move on. But I think the community was genuinely trying to embrace her, and you know, it's always great for marginalized communities when a sudden public figure comes out as a member of the community, showing people that you can't always tell, but also you can still be someone while being yourself authentically. But when you go too hard on one of them, when you try to profit off of your identity, which is what I think JoJo's team tried to do, then it backfires. I think her team was so hell-bent on maximizing the financial potential of her coming out as queer that they immediately pivoted to, let's not call it queer, let's call it a full-on lesbian, and let's really, really hammer in the gay CEO, GayPop aesthetic until it sticks. Someone's gonna buy it. Someone has to entertain this whole new concept of Jojo Siwa. It's gotta work. And then it didn't. And when it didn't, they went too far the other way, the opposite way. They were like, okay, well, it didn't work, you being a lesbian, let's try you and a man. Jojo going into the celebrity Big Brother house, this is a 21-year-old that has been manipulated and manufactured from the days that she could walk until today into being something marketable and appealing to mass audiences. I don't think she's ever had a break throughout her career, like a proper break where she's allowed to be a teenager and have a normal teenage life where she explores who she is and embraces who she is. Instead, she goes on national television, stuck in a house for the first time probably, far away from her team for weeks on end, and she's finally allowed to do some introspective analysis into who she truly is. And she came to the conclusion that, hey, I'm not a lesbian. I identify more as queer. She even talked about her gender identity not necessarily aligning with the sex assigned at birth. She talks about her sexual orientation. She talked about her queer identity in a way that I think every queer person should talk about. It's a more exploratory conversation than necessarily definitive affirmations. What Jojo Siwa did in that house was probably what she should have done before she went into the house. It's probably what she should have done before she publicly announced herself as anything. It's what her team should have probably allowed herself to do before they put her in a celebrity Big Brother house, before they mass marketed her as the new CEO of GayPop. And to think that all of this was probably manufactured or exacerbated or pushed extra hard on media just to cover up the damning allegations of XOMG Pop. Now, if you didn't know, in 2021, Jojo Siwa had a TV show called Siwa's Dance Pop Revolution, which intended to form a pop group by the end, which they did, called XOMG Pop. And in 2024, a damning article by the Rolling Stones exposed many of the mistreatments the contestants suffered while filming the show and performing as the pop group. One of the contestants was forced to work under intense physical duress, even encouraged to attend a video shoot just a few weeks after undergoing spinal cord surgery. And in one instance, just days before surgery, they alleged that the child in question started bleeding through her belly button during rehearsal, and rather than encouraging her to take a break, she was told by Jesselyn to put a maxi pad on it so it wouldn't leak onto her costume. I wonder where they learned to treat people this way. I wonder where they learned to be horrible human beings in a production TV show set. I wonder where they learn to mistreat contestants and tell them to shut up because this is the biggest opportunity your child will ever have to be a star.
She deserves nothing. Don't have an attitude that you are entitled in this world. You are not. You deserve nothing else.
This is, of course, around the time where she rebranded herself to an older demographic, probably in the hopes of drowning out these allegations. This is where I do think that she exploited her identity to hide from bad behavior, from allegations that are quite serious and could, I don't know, lead to some legal repercussions, though I don't think that's going to happen because JoJo's probably got enough money to lawyer them all under the table. So the new era of JoJo might just be her worst era. Now she's canceling Pride gigs because of scheduling conflicts days after saying that she was pressured by the gays into being a lesbian. I'm curious to see where this discourse goes because there's a lot of ways that this can go. I think she should have just said, hey, I went into the house and I've explored more of who I am and I've realized that a lesbian is not the right label for me. The right label for me is queer. I think that she keeps pandering to people that don't actually give a fuck and instead makes inflammatory statements that do appeal to people who give a fuck because it's people that want to use the gay community as a sort of a punchline or a haha gotcha moment to prove that we're all actually groomers and we're all actually pressuring kids into becoming LGBT. When that's not the case, we don't care about your kids. We only want people to be safe, but we don't really want to turn anyone into LGBTQ. You can't. We just want to make them feel safe if they happen to be that. It blows my mind. And I don't know who's responsible for all of these public decisions, all of these career decisions. I don't know if it's her mom. I don't know if it's the fucking Karen Sterling manager agent. I don't know if it's JoJo herself. I think at some point we have to stop blaming her team and her mom and start blaming her because she is 22 at this point. I think that the excuse of, oh, she was just an exploited child is going to wear thin very fast. She's not a child anymore. She is a 22-year-old woman who can speak for herself and has been doing so for a while in all types of podcasts and interviews, etc. So I think that we can start saying that it's JoJo making these decisions, no longer her team. And if it is her team, then it's time for her to part ways with them and start something fresh, start something new, as long as she doesn't go down the evangelical route, because if she this is my pitch for the next Jojo Siwa rebrand. Jojo Siwa, the CEO of Evangelical Pop.
One day you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, where there was no way, God made a way, Jesus, all you gotta do is say the name, Tell the devil he might wanna stay away, I know where I'm going and it ain't the grave, cause where there was no way.
Now, the genre isn't new. It already exists on Instagram and TikTok. It's very popular among the Christians of the world.
Kick it with the old me, didn't even know me. Ready from the jump, I was on the run, need you to show me.
And I think that this is a new industry for JoJo to exploit. I think she should do a come to Jesus moment. I've realized that God is the way. Lesbian is not okay. And go for it. You know, Jesus is the Lord and Savior. Jesus loves me as I am. I have a husband, used to have a girlfriend, but now I see the light. That's terrible. But honestly, can you not see the vision? Just imagine. Jojo Siwa, dressed as the Pope, dressed as Jesus Christ himself, aggressively dancing on stage, quoting the Bible, singing Jesus all of his praises. Not to bring Miley Cyrus back into the conversation, but I can almost see it.
John 12:44 through 50. Jesus cried and said, he that believeth on me, believeth not.
Evangelical JoJo on the horizon. She's coming for your kids. So hide, everyone. And in all of the drama and scandals happening, the conversations that we should be having are not being had. And if they are being had, they're not being had in good faith. Like, for example, the fact that Chris Hughes is 12 years older than JoJo, and how he was aggressively flirting with her in there. Some even may say a little bit too much. Almost like a straight guy taking on the challenge of changing a lesbian into a straight woman. That's what initially some people were saying, I think, and then we realized that actually no, it's very much consensual. JoJo very much wants that. And then, to make matters worse, instead of opening up and being like, hey, I was more honest about who I am, I finally explored sides of myself that I was never allowed to explore because I was living under my mom's thumb. I've now realized that maybe the label that I took on so fiercely at the age of 17 when I was just a kid maybe wasn't the most appropriate, and in fact, I feel more like a pansexual or a queer individual. that would have been fine. But saying that the community pressured you into being a lesbian, I don't know that you're the right person to be starting that conversation, because there is a conversation to be had about how the queer community is so overprotective of its members that they cry foul at every single inconsistency. Let's not forget about when Chappell Roan came out as a lesbian, and people still to this day say that she's doing that for clout, as if coming out as gay or lesbian in today's world, dominated by right-wing media, would earn you brownie points with the audiences. I don't get it. Do people just think that artists are coming up and be like, you know what? I want to pigeonhole myself with the LGBTQ community because they are going to carry my career for the rest of my life. No, I do think that if they come out as somewhat queer, it has some semblance of truth, especially like 10 years ago, it was very popular to be bisexual or pansexual, whatever. But now I don't see it as popular anymore, especially under intense scrutiny from fans trying to call everything queer baiting, gay baiting, queer coded, this and that. If anything, people that come out as anything queer are under even more scrutiny than they are if they don't. So I don't see faking it as a lesbian as the move that she did. I do think that it was exaggerate her queerness in order to tap into an untapped market thus far. That was the decision. I think that was the logic behind all of these decisions. And now we've arrived at being kind of homophobic, kind of right-wingy. They said kids are done, gays are done, the queers don't want us. Who do we have left? The right-wingers. Let's try them for a second and see if that works. You know what? Sometimes people need to be quiet. Sometimes you don't have to announce yourself as anything. Sometimes it's okay to take time. And this message is for Jojo's mom. Are you happy? Was it worth it? And are we done? Are we done with a rebranding era? Because I don't think the people can take it anymore. I don't think the population can handle another messy rebrand. They're already not handling this one really well, and I don't blame them. I'm not handling it very well. Jojo needs to take a break from social media, just go away for a month or two. Then she's probably going to come back a renewed soul who did ayahuasca in Mexico and realize that actually she's straight and she just shares a spiritual affinity with other women, and that's where her lesbianism came from. That's got to be it, right? Jesselyn's going to send her daughter on an ayahuasca trip so she can come back a new person. If that happens, guys, if that happens, you heard it here first. Ayahuasca makes Jojo a Christian, an evangelical Christian. And I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, make sure to leave it a like down below, subscribe to my channel, comment what your favorite Jojo Siwa era was, and don't forget that in the middle of all these pop culture conversations, Palestinians are still getting ethnically cleansed by Israel, who is using Iran as a big distraction for people to stop talking about Palestinians literally getting caged out of desperation to get some food and then getting brutally murdered for no reason by the IOF, the terrorist army of Israel. So keep talking about it, keep talking to your friends, keep advocating, keep sharing donation links, keep sharing resources. I'm going to leave a few down below in the description box if you want to check them out. Donate if you can. If you can, talk to your friends, talk to your family members. If you can change one or two person's opinion on the matter, that's already a victory. And if we can all do our very small part in just doing a little bit of advocacy in our personal lives, maybe we have a chance at finally having governments that do what the people want. Because the people don't want the war. The people don't want the genocide. People want a free Palestine. And until they give us a free Palestine, we can't stop talking about it. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys.